It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. I am your host, Jesse Ventura. With me tonight, conspiracy theorist and alien abduction expert, Clem. Chris, thank you for joining me.
It's an honor to be on the show, Jesse. I've been a fan of yours since probably I was a kid and you were on WWF.
I just want to say that I was never involved with any of Sergeant Slaughter's secret underground military operations from the deep state.
Is Sergeant Slaughter one of the people that gets to stay in the bunkers underneath the Denver airport?
I am not at liberty to divulge. All right, I won't do Jesse Ventura the whole time, but I'm also going to say that it's not the last time I'm going to do it. It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. I am Dave Sterling. With me is Chris Clem. The Cavs are in the finals again.
Yep.
And
I couldn't tell if that was
been
hanging.
The episode. This has been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. Yes.
4 years in a row. Talk to you later.
Yeah. 4 years in a row. This one feels, as far as the accomplishment of getting to the finals, this one feels different than the others. Wouldn't you say so?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it does feel a lot different. I'm actually happy. I'll tell you how I know it's different. This is the first NBA Finals hat I've bought since 2015.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought the one...
Last year, I didn't think they could win, but I was like, I'm not buying any merch unless they do. Same in 16. 15, I was happy they got there with all the injuries.
Yeah.
This year, same scenario.
Which
basically.
year was the gray hat with the giant F on it?
2015.
Yeah, I bought that hat.
I bought it too because it was real slick.
Yeah, it was a real nice looking hat. And this year, I declared it with like 2 minutes to go in Game 7 that I was going to buy Eastern Conference Champions gear because I have... And I want to dig into this topic a little bit. I've seen a lot bandied about on Twitter, Reddit, etc., that being realistic about the Cavs' chances means you're being negative or you're not a real fan or anything like that. What I'm saying is that getting to the finals is the accomplishment for this year. We can call this year a success regardless of what happens in the next couple of weeks. And
yeah,
to me, I'm going to celebrate that. And if we win a game, 2 games, or the whole thing, that's gravy. But this season was already a success.
The fact that they made it to the finals after trading Kyrie, bringing in a guy who's specifically supposed to guard Kevin Durant and Jay Crowder, and, as we all know, Isaiah Thomas the Lesser, who sucks.
Yes.
Trading them, punting on that before midseason at the trade deadline because of how toxic the environment has gotten, bringing in a bunch of jabronis just to fill out the roster and to get Larry Nance for the future, who absolutely disappeared off the face of the earth in Game 7 because he looked panicked.
He did.
Basically trading half the roster for George Hill, who is a fine player, but no Kyrie, although he's probably still better defensively, even at his age. And Kevin Love misses 6 weeks with a broken hand and then gets a concussion in the playoffs. And somehow, and J.R. Smith has one of the worst, if not the worst season of his career, along with Tristan Thompson. And then, and they depend on Jeff Green in a closeout game to get to the finals.
And they face what I would call the stiffest competition that they've faced in the years since LeBron's been back.
Oh, I agree with that. The Pacers were legitimately good. I don't think people appreciate how much of a matchup problem they were and how good defensively Thaddeus Young could match up against Love and even LeBron to a lesser extent. And the Celtics actually are better now than they probably would have been if Kyrie and Gordon Hayward stayed healthy, because those young guys play much better defense than either of those guys do.
Now, not to make this a Bill Simmons podcast, but does Tatum's emergence make Kyrie kind of the odd man out in Boston already?
I mean, what do you think? It's funny that Kyrie went to be the man on a team, and now he's probably the second or third best player.
Well, yeah, and if you're Brad Stevens, are you really gonna shake up this chemistry that had you 2 minutes of solid play away from making the finals.
The weird thing is I think is healthy. He can slot in and fit in with those guys much
Right.
better in their utilitarian system. Just get the open threes and drive when you have the opportunity. But you're right. I can't imagine Kyrie's like, nah, it's cool.
I'll be a role
Let's just
player.
let Tatum and Brown shoot. I'll just hang out.
Yeah, because his biggest attribute was always his assists.
You remember that first season when the new Cavs came together and Kyrie had 0 assists against the Utah Jazz, and he said, it's not really my role to do that. And LeBron basically protested by never passing the ball for like 5 games in a row.
You know what? I used to get annoyed by that kind of LeBron stuff. But it's to me like when the old tale of when someone had made a comment about the Cleveland Browns and, well, they only pass the ball. That's the reason why they're so successful, is no one can defend their passing game. So out of spite, Paul Brown just ran the ball every single play one game and they won anyway. It's like, I love that LeBron is good enough and confident enough that he's like, I'm going to make statements during a game using the game.
Oh, it's hilarious. And yeah, that was super frustrating. But now, after 1 championship and 4 finals appearances, it's absolutely hilarious. And it's like, wow, how did Kyrie even last playing with him for 3 seasons?
Yeah. Like, that's why Kevin Love is just got this perfect kind of attitude of, yeah, I know I'm going to get a bunch of shit thrown at me, but I'll still stick around. Whatever, dude.
Yeah. Basically, despite what the fans think, if Kevin Love can get 12 rebounds a game, everything else, I mean, they're going to have to respect him on the 3-point line and bring a defender over when he posts up. So even if he scores 12 points, that's still, 20 or 30 possessions where he had the ball, where they had to move a defender over.
Yeah.
Which he's still doing something else, though. His defensive rebound rate is crazy.
Oh, yeah. And you noticed that in Game 6. Against the Celtics.
Which is why I get so frustrated at Cavs fans who are like, why do I even need him? He's soft. Like, he's willingly like, hey, guys, can I stay in concussion protocol a few more days? I don't want to get shown up in the NBA Finals.
Yeah. Yeah, he got, in the Indiana series, he got physically battered. Like, it was ridiculous how much he was getting beat up. He got some calls.
And that's also a credit to them, because Thad Young actually made it really hard on him.
Yeah.
Serge Ibaka, not so much.
Man, I was watching Ben Axelrod from WKYC put together kind of a top moments from the playoffs, and that's something I'm going to get to in a minute. But like all the moments from the Indiana series, I was like, oh man, remember when we had to deal with like Bogdanovich? I'm like, oh great. Like, you realize it is a long time ago. First of all, because the playoffs take so long. Like, I was like, you know how you have one of those days when you're like, man, it seems like 3 days ago that I woke up this morning. But the playoffs really have been that long.
The second week of April.
Yeah.
And it's already almost June.
So, yeah, Bogdanovich, all those nonsensical players. Anyway, the moments of this playoffs have been way, way cooler to me than, again, the last previous 3, save, the last 3 games of the finals in 2016. Just a couple of LeBron game winners, a couple of situations where, closeout games that we won. It's just stuff that we weren't used to doing and we weren't used to contending with. And we also got a Raptors sweep in there, which is always a sweet spot for the playoffs. Like, yeah, we won a little adversity, but come on, it's just the Raptors. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just the Raptors, the team everybody's picked to beat the Cavs in the playoffs 2 years in a row. They got swept twice.
This one is the year.
Next year, they got it, man.
It is kind of fun also going back through Facebook memories that they show you, like, on this day, and you get to old playoff games, and you're like, oh, remember when the Raptors were tied with us 2-2 a couple of years ago? And then we just kind of swept them away.
And that was the championship year. I feel like I always thought it was overrated when people said the Cavs don't try hard, but there was something to the fact that at least they didn't communicate on defense and they would blow their coverages all the time.
Yeah.
But you know what team they seem to never blow their coverages against? The Toronto Raptors. And that can't be a coincidence because I think they get extra joy out of beating them into the ground.
Yeah, they do. I don't remember if it was the Raptors. There was an article that came out during one of those series that said that LeBron would kind of call out what plays they were running and just say where everybody was going and stuff like that. And the Raptors would kind of go, oh, well, shit. Well, he knows all of our plays. Great.
Yeah, that was something that came out this year that he did in the playoffs last year to James Johnson, I believe. He's like, you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah, so moments, they've been better. And back to the Celtics thing. You're right about Kyrie not plugging back into that team, but Hayward, yeah, he's a piece. He was never meant to be the man, so he'll fit in, get minutes. He'll probably start, you know what I'm saying? But then, yeah, what does Kyrie do?
I don't know. You see him setting the table. Like, all right, I'm going down court. I got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Gordon Hayward. They're all spotting up or cutting through the lane. I think I'll go one-on-one against three guys.
I think I'm going to dribble it for a while and then back and forth a couple of times.
And then run down and shoot something high off the glass that plops in.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's not a good basketball player. I'm just saying that system, if you're Brad Stevens, are you going to really ruin this chemistry and the stuff you've built? I mean...
Well, the question is, if you're Brad Stevens... It'd be one thing to say, well, first, if you're Brad Stevens, you're the greatest coach that ever lived.
Yes.
The best basketball mind that ever lived. And you know the answers already. So we shouldn't presume what would Brad Stevens do. I'm sure he's already thought a plan.
Yeah, that's true. Whatever he does is therefore the right answer because he did it.
Yeah, he's like the Pope when it comes to basketball. He's infallible. Whatever Brad Stevens does is the correct answer.
Speaking of other Eastern Conference foes, again, everyone thinks Philadelphia up-and-coming team until their front office is now rocked with a ridiculous scandal. Have you heard about the Twitter burner accounts?
Yes, I have, but maybe you should explain it more for the listeners if they haven't. But there's no way in hell anybody hasn't heard about this.
Not that's listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, if you haven't, and you're like my wife or something, and you listen to this for fun, she's very supportive of my hobbies. Okay.
Well, I just appreciate that. That could be the only person listening who doesn't know about this.
So anyway, a Ringer article came out and said that there were some burner Twitter accounts, which are accounts that are really attributed to no one but are under the control of someone else, someone perhaps more prominent, that were associated with insider information at the Philadelphia 76ers.
Also, the NBA already had a scandal 2 years ago, or last year, when Kevin Durant was caught to be tweeting from a burner account.
Oh, that was the best thing that's ever happened, ever, on Twitter. Because he was defending Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and trashing Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City, which is so hilarious to think somebody could go all the way to win MVP in the NBA, join a team that set the record for most wins in a season, finally win a title, and be so completely empty and realize that hole will never be filled that he has to go talk with fans and trash talk them on Twitter.
Yes. I love it. Anyway, so the Ringer is alleging that these burner accounts are Twitter Phila GM Brian Colangelo, and a lot of it is talking about players' health, like a failed physical, just real bad stuff that people shouldn't be tweeting about. And so you're the
and just straight trashing the players like Embiid for saying he doesn't care enough and dancing on stage, and that Ben Simmons is the real man.
Nothing like calling out your own players and then trying to re-sign those players or like see them in the hall or anything like that. So
this would be like if Dan Gilbert wrote a letter and then sent it everywhere around the world but didn't sign his name on it.
Yeah, exactly. Dan Gilbert at least signed his name to his crazy screed about a player. So, yeah, Philadelphia, feel-good story of the year, have they just kind of crapped the bed because of this thing? Is this big enough to kind of ruin what they've got?
I mean, why don't they just make like the Suns and the Raptors and just fire Brian Colangelo?
All right, well, there you go. It's just solved. I think that's probably what Brad Stevens would do anyway.
Sorry to ruin the setup, but I mean, I think his relationship with those players has got to be like.
Oh, it's got to, even if it's not true at this point. Sorry. If I'm the owner of Phila, then I got to side with the players over a NBA executive because without starting any sort of controversy, the whole David Griffin, Kobe Altman thing proved that, and maybe not proved, but, an executive is easier to find than a Ben Simmons is.
Oh, for sure. You remember when the 70 or Phila was owned by Pat Croce and then he sold his share of the team to go start Slam Ball?
I'm wondering.
Why Brian Colangelo can bring back Slam Ball?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what former Cavaliers I'd want to have participate in Slam Ball.
I know, first off the top of my head, Mario Moon.
Yeah. And I would also say that if I had power over time and space, the late, great Robert Tractor Trailer would be my choice. May he rest in peace.
Well, you think, is Jesse still around? Do you think he's got any word about whether or not they can resurrect dead NBA players for Slam Ball?
I have been told that underground at the Oracle Arena, they have a machine that would be able to resurrect former NBA players that are slightly overweight compared to the physique of other NBA players for the purposes of a trampoline-based basketball equivalent known as Slam Ball. Steve Kerr is the only one who knows the process.
I wonder if Steve Kerr is going to use this to bring back Oliver Miller.
He will also bring back Escalade from the popular show And One Mixtape Tour.
What if we started our own Slam Ball, but only got the biggest basketball players of all time to be in it?
And not tallest. I'm talking the fat ones.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry is going to be like, they all make fun of him. They're like, Kyle Lowry's fat for a point guard, even though he's like jacked for a regular person. But we got to like reach for him in a scenario. Him and Raymond Felton, I guess.
I'm also going to include Anthony Big Baby Davis.
Oh, Big Baby, Glenn Davis.
Glenn Davis, sorry. Anthony Davis is the good player.
Yes.
I'm going to say we're going to do a cross-sport promotion and have Bartolo Colon play.
That's perfect. This is the first league where picking Anthony Bennett number 1 makes sense. I think this means that Chris Grant would be an excellent Super Slam Ball GM. That's the new name.
Yeah, Super Slam Ball. I'm going to say, and I think it's only because he was white, but Chris Mullen would probably be put in this.
Yeah, and I'm really, I don't want anybody to jump down my throat, but he was known for drinking a lot. I know he's sober now, but I imagine I could just imagine him after the game, like with a cigarette and a beer and eating a hot dog. And like, maybe he's not quite the physical shape, but he looks like he'd be good afterwards.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and throw Carmelo Anthony on one of these teams.
Oh yeah. Carmelo. Man, now I'm racking my brain thinking of guys that could be good fits. Carmelo would actually win an MVP in that league.
Yeah, he would. And also, he loves caramel so much. Late career Sean Kemp, maybe?
Oh, late career Sean Kemp, no doubt.
I'm still going to include Escalade from the And One Mixtape Tour.
Well, yeah, this is a shot at the big time.
Yeah.
And honestly, let's just get some freak shows in there. I'm going to go with throwing the Big Show from wrestling. Just put him in there.
I'm going to get Yokozuna.
Yeah. Shaq.
Oh,
Charles
yeah.
Barkley.
Shaq should be in there for sure. Yeah, I'll put Charles Barkley in. Let's think. Who are the tweet at either of us at Chris Clem or at Demoko for your pick of the Super Slam Ball fat ex NBA players.
Oh yeah, you could write an article about this.
And also, I'm gonna include, not just fat players. I'm gonna include also kind of weird players in there.
Yeah.
So who was the kid with the stupid mustache from Gonzaga?
Oh, Adam Morrison.
Yeah, Adam Morrison. He wasn't really fat, but he didn't look fit compared to the other NBA players.
He was thin, but he looked like he didn't actually ever lift weights.
Right. He just looked like he made his way onto the Gonzaga team and then was like, this has been working. I'm like, why don't you hit the weight room? No, this is kind of how I did it back at Gonzaga.
Yeah, because for a guy who was almost 6'10", he got and was a guard. What was he afraid he was going to be too slow or something? Or I don't know. But he got pushed around a ton.
All right. Well, that's all I can come up with. Fat player
Boris.
wise.
I thought of one more. Boris Diaw.
Oh yeah. Trying to think if there's any other weird, trashy looking guys like Morrison, but
Trashy looking guys. I mean, how far you want to go? Because like JJ Redick's a pretty boy, but he's got like the Undertaker tattoo sleeve that just doesn't look right when you see him with his like Bible salesman haircut.
I just thought of the perfect crossover to get from the fat player to the trashy player, and that is Paul Pierce.
Oh,
he is a combination of both. He looks like your average white trash NASCAR fan, but he's also kind of a fat black guy.
Yeah, he is. He totally. I can see it right now.
He's the
perfect.
face. Like, I know Carmelo's going to win MVP, but it's going to be like James Harden winning MVP this year. Everyone knows that Paul Pierce should have been the MVP of Super Slam Ball. Or should we call it Slam Ball XXL?
Oh, Slam Ball XXL, of course. Well, what about Slam Ball X? Just because some of them are just different, not just
that's true.
Guys.
Yeah, X with an L in parentheses.
Yes. Did you see the clip of Paul Pierce trash talking LeBron during Game 7?
You mean activating LeBron? Yes.
The best part, I don't like the ESPN studio show. I think their best basketball analysis is probably Tracy McGrady, and he only does the jump. But Jalen Rose and Chauncey Billups actually earned their pay that game when Paul Pierce did the live remote, because he's like, all right, I'll be here after the game to recap it. And they said, you better not leave when the Cavs win. And he's like, ha, okay, guys. And then his post-game segment, he looked like he was going to cry.
Oh, geez. The other mysterious thing about that game is if you're Kyrie Irving and you know you've got one more game to attend, is that really when you get your deviated septum fixed?
No, there's no way. He is just a chump.
Yeah. And I liked him. He was our chump.
Yeah.
But then he was like, well, I'm just going to be a chump somewhere else. And we're like, all right, but you seem like kind of a chump with that flat earth thing.
Yeah, Kyrie, as you know, he's like the only NBA player who would be a good guest on Coast to Coast AM.
Yeah.
And I liked him for that. Even when he trashed the fans in the city, I still had my jersey. I didn't wear him anymore, but I'm totally done. Something like that, not even an elective surgery, but a surgery that has no pressing medical need. It's not like it happened and he needed to get it done. Once Game 7 came around, Friday night, I guarantee is the day he scheduled it.
Right.
So nobody defend him. He's not a great player. He can't even be, if his spirit of competition is so low that he won't even show up to sit on the bench with his teammates in a game 7 at home. It's so weak. It's like when people make fun of Kevin Durant and call him a cupcake, whatever. He went to the team that beat him. But this is like, it's not as
This
big
is
in
he
the grand
couldn't
scheme
even
of things.
face the team that was going to beat him.
Yeah, this is even worse. And nobody's saying anything about it.
I am. We are.
We are. You know, this was as weak of a move as his left kneecap.
Ooh. You know, I was thinking about 2015 the other day about how if I think LeBron took a shot at the end of regulation that could have won it.
Mm-hmm.
If LeBron had hit that shot, Kyrie doesn't get hurt in the overtime, and you stole game 1.
Yeah.
I think we could have won that year.
Well, yeah. Plus, then they were up 3. They would have been up 3-0.
Yeah.
Because the Cavs got up 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that series was so much closer than people think. And it was before they had become the defensive juggernaut they were, which is another reason why I think having Love would have helped, because they weren't as good defensively. And they also played Bogut. So
Right.
Love had a spot out there. It's really crazy to think the Cavs could be looking to go ahead 3-1 in this series instead of tying it up.
Right,
But
exactly.
thanks, Dave. I totally forgot about how I felt after that game.
Do you want to talk
till
about
just now.
do you want to talk about the World Series against the Cubs now?
Yeah. You know, I went to the Indians Cubs game at Wrigley Field last week. I think, yeah, it was last Tuesday.
They won by a lot?
Yeah, they won 10-1. And the only run that gave up was a solo home run given up by the little cowboy, Josh Tomlin. And if somebody's listening, they're like, that's not his nickname. It's the little sheriff. Yes, I know. I demoted him.
I'm calling him the
cowboy.
littlest cowboy now.
Littlest cowboy. I still think one of those Cleveland t-shirt companies need to make a shirt that's based on that book/movie, The Indian in the Cupboard, and just be the cowboy in the cupboard. And it's Josh Tomlin.
I'm all for that.
They can have that idea for free. But
$39.95.
He gave up a solo home run, which was fitting. But the whole time I was watching that game, I got in an argument with, because I know a lot of people out here. I got an argument with them, and I said that they were lucky that rain. I said, because they had some things showing it, and I was like, the Cubs MVP of that World Series was God, because there was no way the momentum had switched. You can't tell me the game would not be over if Shaw could come out for one more inning.
Yeah, but the Cubs players said as much. They said that the rain delay gave them a chance to get their shit together, because they were in the midst of we're blowing it mode.
Exactly. And we all see how that happens. Look what happened with the Cavs Celtics. As soon as the Cavs got that lead and they got it to 4 points, it was over.
Yeah.
And the Celtics started panicking.
And I felt it, and I tweeted it, that it was just, they could feel it slipping out of their fingers, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. And it was just the inevitable happening. Like, you could feel the energy in the building switch from we got this to, wait a minute, they can't win this, can they? And it was awesome to watch from the away perspective of that, to just see the crowd die.
Well, the thing that makes me so mad about the World Series is that last week at the game I didn't go to, they gave away a shirt for Star Wars night that had the Millennium Falcon flying over Wrigley Field with a lightning strike saying, "Never tell me the odds," which to me seems disrespectful considering that's the only reason they won the World Series.
It's because of the odds?
The odds. They didn't overcome it heroically unless the Cleveland Indians are the Millennium Falcon and they get obliterated 1 second after this T-shirt supposedly takes place. I don't see what they're celebrating. They are the Death Star. They are...
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like... Yeah, the odds were if you buy a bunch of talent, you're going to win a World Series.
Man, it's crazy. I will believe Theo Epstein is a baseball genius when he takes over the Tampa Bay Rays and turns them into a World Series winner.
Yeah, it's like reverse Moneyball.
Yeah. I mean, the Rays have had as much success as they could hope for with their budget restrictions, but it's like, hey, I could probably put together a World Series roster if I was allowed to outspend any mistake I made. Would that
Yeah.
make me a baseball genius?
And don't forget that domestic abuser as your closer.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, I wonder if I had no salary cap and I was just allowed to sign all the best players, could I win in any sport?
I think that no one should tell you the odds. You know, who else has something to say about this?
Let's just do the next 5 minutes as Wookiees. Really piss off Craig.
Hold on. I'm going to try to do a Jesse Ventura Wookiee. That was clipped right there. I'm going to have to compress this whole thing now. And then minutes 31 through 32 were us trying to do impressions of people doing Wookiee impressions. And we just kind of tried it out live.
A Wookiee is an illegal alien. Build a wall around Kashyyyk.
I was told that Wookiees... I'm just starting to sound like a Muppet. I was told... Actually, I saw this online that... And I'm not the... I know you're a big... more of a Star Wars guy than I am, but someone had said that, you know, the Wookiee lifespan being what it is, that Han Solo was just essentially Chewbacca's second dog.
Yeah. That makes sense. They live for like 600 years, so
Yeah.
that fits pretty good. It puts a whole new spin on things.
Yeah. All right. Cavs, Warriors, finals.
Round 4.
I'm going to put a note in the show notes that says if you want to hear the Cavs Warriors finals analysis, skip ahead to 32 minutes after the Wookiee. We'll do more conspiracy theories later, so if you hit those, you went too far. So, blind optimism versus, anything like that. My theory is it would be silly if Kyrie had not left to expect any different outcome than last year's finals. Kyrie, LeBron, Kevin Love, not enough to beat the Warriors with that matchup. Now, none of the players we have now are better than Kyrie Irving, but a different group of people matches up differently to this team. It's a whole new set of scouting that the Warriors need to do. It's a whole new set of moves that the Cavs coaching staff can do. It's new matchups. It's George Hill, who actually plays decent defense. It's a whole different thing. Talent-wise, on paper, do the Warriors sweep? Maybe. But this team has been, pardon my language, gritty as fuck at this point. And just seeing LeBron James in that Game 7, he played it the same exact way he did in 2016 Game 7 in the finals. I'm going to keep it dirty. I'm going to keep it ugly. I'm going to stay in it until the end, and then let's see if we can steal it. And I don't know how many of those performances they can put in, but to me, a whole different team can maybe do something against the Warriors.
I agree. I this is where you get torn between your heart and your mind. There's only 3 reasons I could think that the Cavs could have a shot. 1, George Hill is not necessarily the defender he used to be, but compared to Kyrie, he's all NBA first team.
Right.
The second reason is that Ty Lue all season moved Kevin Love to center specifically just for the Warriors when it happened, and I know they've gone away from it in some of these series, and I know he might miss the first couple games, but the Christmas Day game, the Cavs starters were a positive. The bench killed them in that game. They lost by I think 7, but Love had 32 points and like 16 rebounds,
Yeah.
and it looked like the Cavs starting lineup might actually have something with that. And mind you, that was when Jose Calderon was still starting, not George Hill. The third reason is Steph Curry. This is the year that he has to get injured. I know he's been kind of injured already. Hopefully this is the year he takes a slide and is out for 4 games, because if there's one thing the playoffs have shown, the Warriors with Steph Curry at the head of it are a much harder team to beat than the Warriors with Kevin Durant at the head of it.
Right. How much do you think Iguodala being out is going to help the Cavs?
Honestly, I don't really think it'll help them. It was basically that was the guy they would put Love on, so whoever's going to replace him isn't even as good of a shooter as him. So it actually kind of helps the Cavs a little bit there. But I think Iguodala has probably been the most overrated guy on that team in all 4 of these series. And the fact that he won the MVP in 2015 is still kind of a joke.
I think, yeah, Kyrie Irving's kneecap really won the MVP in that series. Yeah, I don't know. I watched. The thing that worries me about Golden State is that I saw in some of the Houston games that I watched that they could kind of just F around for 3 quarters and then go, oh, crap, we better win this game, and kind of turn it back on. And it never really seemed, and the same with the series. Houston had the momentum in the series, and then they were just like, oh, yeah, I guess we better win this series. And I don't know if a guy like LeBron can stop that, or if it's just kind of inevitable. I don't know.
I think they're going to have a harder time because I think the Warriors will give away a game, but it's not like the Rockets had a lot of interchangeable long defenders that they could just throw at all the Warriors players, and the Cavs don't have that.
Yeah.
And the guys that do have, like, I thought for sure Larry Nance would be a guy you could throw on Durant. Like, he's not going to stop him, but he could actually be thrown at some of these guys and play good defense against them.
He'll at least annoy him.
What?
He'll at least annoy him.
Yeah. But then Game 7 in Boston happened, and he looked like he had never played basketball before in his life after he played great in Game 6. So depending on a guy like that, who knows what you're going to get. And last year, Tristan Thompson was terrible. I still remember the play where Steph Curry just jumped right over him for a rebound, like nothing. And if he can't rebound, he really has no role on this team because they don't have a real center for him to guard. So I don't know. I don't think the Cavs have enough guys. It just depends on, can JR play defense? Can Korver not get obliterated? Can Love not get obliterated? And can they score enough? Like, if the Cavs get hot, it could be like 2015 and they could be up 2-1 before you know it. And even though they're the worst team, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, it can't be any worse than 2007.
Oh, for sure. Unless you think Game 4 is going to end like somewhat close, and then Anderson Varejao is going to post up and shoot a hook shot that hits the side of the backboard. It was like a 4-point game, and I remember screaming at the TV because I just wanted the Cavs to win one finals game, and I knew at that point they weren't.
I was at that game.
Oh, really?
Yes. We had a work associate who would give us tickets kind of throughout the season, who said at the beginning of the playoffs that year, I think at the beginning of the Detroit series, well, if the Cavs make the finals, I'll get you guys tickets.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I did not think he was expecting the Cavs to beat the Pistons at that point. And so, yeah, he got us Game 4 tickets, 2 of them, and we got to see the Spurs celebrate on our floor.
You know, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was upset, but I remember we were at my parents' house and my dad made a bunch of chicken wings, and I remember us all sitting in the living room. And I was upset, but I was like, they'll definitely be back. It's all right. They're going to be back.
I felt fine about it at the time. Because we were all like, oh, it's too early. It's too early.
Oh man, if you remember, they were a Flip Murray rebound away from going to the finals the year before.
Yeah. Oh, Flip Murray.
So
The other thing that I was looking up in the last couple of days was the Cavs losing to Orlando. The Freezing Cold Takes Twitter account posted a bunch of headlines from the day after the Magic eliminated the Cavs, and all of them said how Dwight Howard was dethroning LeBron James as the dominant force in the league. And it was no longer LeBron's league, it was Dwight Howard's league, and that was pretty funny.
that's really funny. Those old takes, they're so ridiculous in retrospect because people always want to say something really big about the guy who's clearly the best player. Like I remember being in 8th grade and Sporting News convinced me from the So Monroe Falls Public Library when I checked it out. It's not an endorsement of them, by the way. The cover said, "Why Shaq will never win an NBA championship in Los Angeles." And looking back, that's the stupidest thing they could have said. He was clearly the best player in the league, and he was playing with Kobe Bryant and at the time Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel. Like at worst, I would put everything I have on them winning one.
Yeah, at least squeezing one out.
But that's, I mean, everybody's like, ooh, Skip Bayless, or like Chris Fedor from Cleveland.com saying the Cavs will miss Kyrie in the finals this year. Oh, no shit. Go out on a
Really?
ledge with that one. Why don't you?
Well, that's
People just-
where right before the Browns' first round draft pick, I safely tweeted that the Browns were selecting, and then I listed each of the top quarterback prospects, and then I just retweeted Baker Mayfield after it happened and said, "See, I had it from the beginning."
Well, see, you're on top of it. You're like the guy on Twitter who retweeted Isaiah Thomas the Lesser when he said, "Who do y'all think is going to win this one?" And he put the team that traded you.
That guy just won Twitter.
Yeah, I was like, man, that actually made me legitimately laugh out loud. I was in the car, my wife showed it to me, and I laughed quite hard.
All right, so Cavs in 6 then?
Yeah, why not? Don't you have faith? Cavs in 5, man.
Yeah. I think, Golden State might steal one. They might win game 2.
This is when not living in Northeast Ohio is the worst because I miss everybody who's never watched a basketball game since the June before giving me their takes on basketball, or like the local TV broadcasters like, ooh, I think the Cavs are going to do it. Going to the grocery store. I think they got it. Like, name 3 players on the Cavs roster. And they'll be like LeBron, Kevin Love,
Kyrie Irving. Well, that's the problem, is my association with the waiting for next year is people always assume that I'm like taking ownership of the Cavs and the way they play. And so like the Cavs, lost game 1 to Indiana, and my father-in-law is like, "What are they doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm watching with you. I don't have any way to change or analyze this any more than you do. I just sat here and watched it."
Where is your insight? Your name is listed at the bottom of the homepage, Dave.
It is. My insider is Scott Sargent, and he is an excellent insider, but most of the time he's doing actual like writing and stuff and not talking to me.
I want to know if he can answer this. Who the guy that was in like the pimp suits in the last series in the press room every single game was? Because he never asked a question. And he had no phone or notepad. He just leaned back in the chair and looked forward. But they put him in the front row each game, and I have no idea who he could possibly be.
I will reach out because
he's in the room, not like 3 seats down from him.
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna say that Craig maybe made it this far past the Wookiee stuff, but I don't think Scott did.
Well, that's fine.
So I'm just gonna ask him in a separate location because I don't think he made it this far.
You guys have Slack, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him in the Slack.
Every company, everything has Slack now. I don't get it.
It's nice. I like it for chatting with fellas about stuff.
I mean, I guess all the slacks I'm on are not anything worth my
It's
time.
excellent, and I wish I could do it at my work because nobody's good about including people on emails that should be included on. So if you're like, well, everyone saw it because it was here, you can't say, well, you didn't send it to me, But anyway,
Yeah,
reminds
it's a
me of
good.
old AOL chat rooms mostly.
Oh man, some bad experiences on those.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna make it a point that we should talk again after a couple of games. We'll see how we're feeling. We'll see how things are going, and we'll kind of
We should
regroup.
do we should do another home and away, and you should come on my show.
All right, I'll do that. I'll do that, and I'll be Jesse Ventura on that one too, and a Wookiee.
Yeah, I'll work on my Alex Jones.
All right. All
Because
right.
on that one, we can just do that for 15 minutes. It's fine.
I think total we did it for 15 minutes on this one, but it was part of the larger piece that I think people will tolerate.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. All right. Any other thoughts before game one tomorrow night?
Is this where I plug something, or you want an actual
Well,
thought?
actual
about the
thoughts, and
series?
then we'll do plugs after this.
Last year the series was really hard to watch, but if you think back to it, it seems like they were one Kyle Korver make away from tying it 2-2.
Yeah,
And I think if they win a game, we should just be happy this year.
I agree. I agree with you on that, and I think that's my thing too. I'm buying the Eastern Conference champ shirt, and I am enjoying the moments that we had this playoffs.
Yeah, it's not being a defeatist fan or saying, "Oh, you don't have faith." Well, when all the analytics numbers, eye test, every single thing is telling you the Cavs don't have a chance. But again, they're in the finals. Somebody could get hurt. Stranger things have happened. So
Well,
I guess
even if
that's me
LeBron
being optimistic.
even if LeBron is guaranteed to stay here next year, taking your shot while you're in the finals is always a better chance of going through an entire regular season and another playoff run, get to the finals and win the finals. So you got to try to seize the opportunity you've got right now.
And I want them to go as far as they can and as long as they can in this series, because that's just another day we don't have to constantly be bombarded with speculation about what LeBron's going to do.
LeBron's not going to go to any city that needs an abbreviation like that, like
Nope,
Phila
Phila.
or Hugh.
I forget. Hugh.
That's not even a real one. Or Loss.
Oh, yeah. Los Angeles. Well, when Jalen Rose is saying, I think he's staying in Cleveland, I feel like now it's going to be like we're really going to have the rug pulled out from underneath us. But it also just shows how pointless it is when guys who are on TV the last 2 years saying he's going to Los Angeles are like, oh, I think he's going to stay in Cleveland now. It just shows nobody has any idea.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even think.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, me too. I like your theory. Let's enjoy these finals because an extra couple of weeks of basketball means less speculation. And despite the fact that people are going to speculate every time, is like, well, is this the last game one of the finals LeBron will ever play in a Cavaliers uniform? Like, I don't know.
Well, it's like you said, it could be the last finals game he ever plays. Nothing is promised.
Yeah,
What is that? What he said? Nothing is promised. Everything's earned, or nothing
nothing is
given.
given. Now I don't know if I'm more fired up or less fired up now.
I'm medium fired up. My fire's been going at a low, medium to low the
All
whole
right.
time.
Well, now let's get to the plug part where you can plug anything because nobody's listening, but still.
If by chance the Cavs make it to a game 5, June 11th, I'll be in Kent at the basement of the Water Street Tavern doing a live watch along show of game 5 of the finals.
That sounds like a fun time.
Last year's was awesome, and then after the Cavs lost game 5, I went on an epic 6-minute rant that had people applauding, and then afterwards I realized I had the cord in the wrong port, so it all sounded horrible, and I couldn't use the audio.
That is rough.
But it's free, so if you feel like it, come on out. It'll be fun.
All right, then. Do
I'll
it,
trash
everybody.
talk a Steph Curry's stupid fetus-looking face you can handle.
Yeah. And his Under Armour shoes.
In his mouth guard.
Oh, the mouth guard. I hate them so much. Like, I'm
Me
going to start
too.
this back up again. Like, I watched the Houston, I didn't watch Game 7 because I fell asleep. But I watched one of the earlier games, and I'm like, I don't know enough about Houston to hate them yet. I really don't like James Harden all that much because of his beard. But I really hate everything about Golden State. Like, top to bottom.
I hate them so much. Like, I hate the Celtics, but mostly because I hate Boston fans. I don't really care about the Celtics players.
Right.
Except for Marcus Morris. I do hate him.
Yeah.
But the Warriors from top to bottom, like when Klay Thompson is your most likable player.
Yeah, and I was going to compare him to Adam Banks from the Mighty Ducks. Like, he's a good player. He's playing in Golden State, but I think if you said, hey, your house is actually in the Cavs district, and he came and played for the Cavs, I think he'd still play hard and be a good person and everything. But none of the other Warriors would I consider.
Well, yeah, and Klay Thompson's biggest positive attribute is he has no personality one way or the other.
He's a basketball robot.
Pretty much.
Oh,
but
I
the rest
forgot.
of them,
I forgot my main question for today.
what?
And I'm getting to it 52 minutes in.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Adam Silver, first of all, puts you in charge of the Cavaliers. He says, Chris, you're in charge of the Cavaliers. Also, I feel bad about this Kevin Durant to the Warriors thing. I'm giving you a special one-time dispensation. You're allowed to pick any player from the NBA that's not on the Golden State Warriors to add to the Cavs for the finals. Who are you picking?
Oh, this is tougher than I would have to be. First move I would make would be to retire Sean Kemp's jersey since I'm in charge of the Cavaliers.
Fine.
Number 4 is going up in the rafters. And then
You're
I
not
would
putting
have
that
to
up
get
there
my
for Chris Mim?
get
Put
Wesley Persons up there.
A Kemp / Mim number 4 retired jersey. Okay.
It'll be like Nance and Nance Jr. Then I would have to get my medical staff on board because I would need to evaluate Kawhi Leonard because that would be my first choice based 100% on how much trouble the Warriors had with the Spurs last year in Game 1 until Zaza took him out.
Yeah.
And if Kawhi Leonard's healthy, he'd be my choice. But
Okay.
if not, then you have to go to like the poor man's Kawhi Leonard and get Paul George, I guess. I don't know because Paul George kind of disappeared in the playoffs. So I just hope Kawhi Leonard's healthy. I'd take him.
All right. Well, I'm going to say, since I've granted you these special powers, that you can have your answer be a healthy Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, then 100% Kawhi Leonard. He would slot in great with the Cavs roster as it's constructed. Like, imagine Jeff Green if he was really good at defense and shooting and actually playing at a high level every game.
So you mean the Cavs 2018-2019 roster you would bring into this year? Because that's what's happening.
I mean, obviously you could fill in the gaps. You got a 8th first-round pick. You're over the cap, but I don't see any reason why Kyle Korver can't be expected to play at the same level, considering even when he has an open dunk, he still lays it in. If Love's healthy, I think the lineup with him at center, if they have another plus defender in Kawhi Leonard, should be you could get by without the rim protection. So I'd say more than anything else, yeah, because you put him and he could just say guard Durant the whole game and make it really hard on him. If it's one player,
Yeah.
I'd take Kawhi Leonard.
Well, I have a twofold choice for my answer. First would be whatever player Brad Stevens would pick is who I would pick. But if I can't have that, I would just have Brad Stevens. Because he's the best basketball mind we've ever seen.
You know, people make fun of the ringer.com. I do a lot, but they actually wrote an article before Game 6 that said how the Boston Celtics were the next Golden State Warriors, but not in the future this year.
Huh. Boston. That's why I don't read Boston fan sites. All right, I'm getting
You're
groggy.
making a good choice.
I'm getting groggy. You're
Sorry.
getting groggy. No, it's fine. I meant to end this a little while ago, and then I forgot my key question. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys
Me too.
listening have had a lot of fun. In the next
Me too.
week or so, listen up for me on the Chris Clem Cavs Cast, the C4 podcast, which you can get on any audio outlet. We will be doing more Jesse Ventura, more Alex Jones, more Cavs conspiracy theories coming to you then.
Yeah.
Thanks for being
I'll
on,
write
Chris.
some down. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, this has been the Waiting for Next Year.com podcast.